the 100 meg.
Well, we know that the fiber is faster,
Yeah.
so, do you need a motion on this?
I don't think so. I mean,
One
this
more
is.
comment, Margaret.
Lorraine, but I'm gonna cut it off here because I think.
Well, Comcast is going to a different system than fiber, and that system would go faster.
And that's fine, I mean, we can wait,
For the
but again,
e-phone.
I mean, I overhear a lot of the talking here, and there's at least 5 times a day they have to hang up with a customer and call back. Our phone lines just, I mean, it's.
What's our contract terms again? Oh.
CenturyLink's 36-month agreement. Comcast requires a 60, on it if we wouldn't think their stuff.
Mrs. Flaherty?
Do we need a motion?
I don't think so, I mean, this is kind of just a follow-up, it's more of an administrative thing, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that.
I would suggest a motion to the board of directors.
I motion to approve this action as you requested.
So the proposal as
Yes. Okay,
Mr.
I will,
Kraft presented.
I will approve to recommend to add CenturyLink service and to purchase new phones, equipment, and voice over internet protocol service. Is that comfortable?
As presented.
As presented.
Thank you. Okay, I've got a motion and a second.
Discussion, I thought we were going to wait back on the purchase based on what Doug said, of the equipment. Instead of purchasing it, I thought we were gonna get a report
Well,
back
what
on
Mike said is that the purchase through CenturyLink it's more expensive and it's a lesser model, so from a purchase perspective.
Essentially, and this isn't something the guy's like waiting for me to say tomorrow, yeah, let's start up. I can still wait for CenturyLink to do it. This is gonna be a little bit of time because until our IT guy can get to us and do all this, we have to schedule, he has to order the equipment.
I think the question that maybe Ed and I are looking at, if we're not going through CenturyLink, we're going through our vendor, is there a lease option with the vendor?
I can ask him that.
Yeah, it's just, and
I'll
that's
ask
just a
him. He didn't
sidebar.
bring it up, but, I mean, I'll see if that's.
So you will
possible.
get us the best deal you can.
I'm gonna do my best.
So we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. 5C, use of funds for the 004 landscape budget, or land system. You're a patient woman.
Just waiting my turn. L. Harris, Gateway Services, Natural Resources. I presented an agenda item for landscape repairs in Stony Brook from the 004 budget. Total repair cost $23,099. I worked closely with the Stony Brook Committee and residents on putting this list together. There is some remaining budget there, and Stony Brook Committee has also requested a shift of $20,000 to go into the landscape budget for enhancements after these repairs are done.
And we did transfer that money, this
Yes.
board did, we.
Actually, I believe, yes, it was approved and taken care of. And again, I have been working with Stony Brook residents on getting some ideas and ways to enhance the landscaping in the community. But that will be a separate proposal coming later.
Kathy, you wanna make this motion?
I'll make this motion. I move this, to approve the use of $23,999, for sod repairs and,
That's not right. $23,099.
$23,099, thank you, sorry, for, sod repair on the multiple areas in Stony Brook. And plant and tree replacement. Okay, sod, yeah.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Who seconded? Ed.
Thank you.
Can we get a climbing tree on Weatherstone to replace the one that was? In the event that you have, maybe somebody's got 4
We're
kids.
getting-
It's gonna be palm trees.
It's gonna be foxtails.
Oh, good. That'll be
Palm
good.
trees.
We got,
Boys will climb somewhere.
They will find a place to climb, I know, I've had boys too. Thank you all very
Thank
much
you, Al.
for your time, I appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
we did 5D, so this is 5D, fiscal year 2019 budget discussion.
Yeah, we were just gonna talk about the general fund budgets, and I didn't know if you'd like to address the committee report or the consent agenda before you do that, or do it after the budget discussion.
Well,
I don't think they have anything with PPAC.
okay, so I I'll move to 6A. Did PPAC have anything they wanted to discuss?
I do not have a formal report, but I think Mr. Measy has been talking to Chris, and it was
Go ahead
asking
and
him
come
to make some
up to the-
presentation.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Joe Schofield with P-PAC. I don't have a report per se, but Mr. Measy, our president, has been talking to Chris about an issue, I believe, concerning golf carts. And I think Chris has some information that he's been requested to present to you folks. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's come across, I think that memo Mr. Measy wrote's been forwarded to you. They're doing a survey over in Pelican on the golf course issue, and they're gonna come back to us.
The golf cart issue?
Yes, with the results of their survey.
Is the word out that what we approved at the meeting?
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
I've been over there about 3 times in the last 2 weeks. Somebody ain't getting the message. Those golf carts are riding down the middle of the road.
Yep.
And I had requested.
One after
and if-
another.
And if you could share it, I think with every one of the supervisors, the actual wording or the actual survey that went out, I think it would be beneficial if we saw what you were asking people.
Well, I don't know that P-PAC has authorized that survey. That's another group within Pelican Preserve that has done that. But Chris, do you have a copy of that you could?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so
Okay.
Chris could get that to
If
you.
you would share that with the board, that'd be nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
All right, I got consent agenda items, these are,
Wait a minute, aren't we going back to the
we
budget?
will.
Oh, we're going back to that.
Chris had requested we do the consent agenda first, so
Okay.
I'll honor that. Consent agenda, we got minutes from May 3rd, May 17th, June 7th, and the financial statements for May. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
In a second.
Well, Bill Guy or Bill Guy?
Yeah, he was the third.
Oh,
Doug.
okay, so we got three.
We're third.
I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 7A, B, C, and D. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we will go back to 5E, budget discussion.
I'll ask Mike to come up. We're basically just gonna go over the general fund and see if anybody had any additions, deletions, comments, or any concerns.
Open for discussion.
Yes, Mr. Guy.
Thank you. In Mr. Brand's comments that he gave to us earlier, he talked about a statement on at the June 14th meeting that Gateway's assessments are the lowest in the area. Well, I made a statement, and it wasn't that the Gateway assessments are the lowest in the area. They are that the water rates are the lowest in the area. And I want to get that on the record, and if anybody wants to take issue with it, I wish you wouldn't, because I've seen the numbers. We need to have that corrected in everybody's mind. Secondly, having worked on numerous budgets in my history, one of the easiest things in the world that you can do is cut a budget without regard to what it's gonna do to your staff, and your facilities, and the services that you need to provide residents. Nobody wants to waste money, certainly not I. And I keep taking kind of a breath when I hear all of these additional things that keep popping up. Just about the time I think we've got our hands wrapped around where it is we're gonna need to go or want to go, some more pops up, like we just heard about all of this water business. So we have a very difficult set of circumstances ahead of us, and we always have to keep in mind that our residents have got to come first, and that includes making sure that we are doing everything that we can to ensure that the value of the homes that they've worked so hard for continue or increase in value. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
I'll be a few minutes, okay. All right, thank you, Chairman Feinberg, and I want to thank Stephen Bloom and Michael Kraft for the, as well as the staff for your budget. Okay, and I also want to thank Michael Kraft for the 2010 to 2018 comparison of the budgets. Okay, last year the cost of living increase was 2%. This year they estimated to be about 3%. The CPI is about 2.8%. Our assessment value is going up to 23.36%. Okay, we really do have to look at this budget. We really do need to decrease it in some way. Okay, I am totally against hiring any more management positions. I think we have enough managers. However, I do think we need to hire someone for maintenance, because we do need someone to do maintenance. We had to hire a special person to paint the monuments. When the monuments need to be cleaned, we have to hire somebody. The sign on Stony Brook, that crossword that I asked 2 weeks before Chairman Feinberg asked at the last meeting, still isn't up. You say it's going to be up tomorrow. It was here last week. Okay, so those things. The deaf child sign that had to be put up was put off for 2 weeks. Those are things that are important. Okay, they need. We talked about the pavement outside. These are things of maintenance. We need to maintain what we have. We don't need to spend money for new things when we should maintain what we have. Okay? Now, the supervisors get $200 per meeting. I would like to propose that that be decreased. 175, 150, and even to think further to decrease it further in the future. Okay? Before we add things like bocce court, a new building near common, pool, we should send out a survey and ask the residents what they would like, what we should do to make this a better place to live. If we should decrease some of the things that we are spending. Our irrigation needs to be fixed. That's very expensive. That's another maintenance thing. Okay? I have already been approached by a Stony Brook resident, okay, about the bocce court, the tennis court, and how we Stony Brook residents have it at their community, and why should they have to pay for it? Because Pelican Preserve doesn't pay for it. Okay? This was a young lady that came and asked me this the other day. Okay, in the budget, there is a soccer replacement for $100,000 to replace sod. However, we have a Mainscape contract, and in that contract is sod replacement for soccer field. I don't understand why we need that in there. Okay, also, I don't see why we always have to bond stuff or take out loans when we should be planning for the future, and think of the future, and think of the residents that have to pay for this. 23.3% is an assessment increase is very high. If the cost of living for them is only 3%, and some of them are on fixed income, can they afford it? I've already been asked by residents, if it goes up that high, they're going to have to sell their house. Okay, we are considering raising the water rates, so that's another increase. So I am just saying these things, okay? I also would like in the future, any budgets that given, and I know that salaries come from different parts. I wanna know all the salaries and the benefits put on one sheet of paper, because that's an easy, I really don't appreciate the talking, when I'm talking. I've respected you all the time when you talk. So, the salary, I know there's a program that you can take the salaries from each department and total it up. That's what I was thinking. Also, the water fountain near the charter school has not been working for a while. That's another maintenance thing. I don't understand why that's not fixed. So,
The staffing?
that staffing, when you do staffing, part of it goes into general fund and some of it goes, there's only parts. Okay. Then, when they do the staffing, okay, we go from operations, then we go to, right, landscaping, right.
But this
So-
one has each individual and then the
Right.
hourly rate.
Right, but
FICA,
what I would like to see,
retirement.
right, what I would like to see it all on one page, the whole thing, right, all the staffing, okay. But put together so that, not it's individual, the total amount paid for staffing, the total amount for benefits, you know what I'm saying?
That's right down here.
Oh, that's,
Total.
but that's, okay. So anyways, the increase for the general fund is over $1 million. We need to somehow find ways to decrease that. And like I said, according to the Board of Supervisors, 190.006, we can reduce what we get at our meetings.
Okay, Mr.
Question.
Hinkle.
Question. Stephen, what is the per EAU? I don't like dealing in percents. Percents are fictitious. What is the actual dollar assessment for Area 1, Area 2 residents, please?
The increase?
The increase.
The increase would be $115.75.
And Stephen, talking about maintenance, one of the maintenance items is the stormwater system, cleaning the stormwater system. Would you check my math? I think that $500,000 divided by 6,200 EAUs is $80 a month, or, I'm sorry, a year? Is that math correct?
Just check that. 86, yeah, $80.64 roughly.
And so 115, 86, 14, what is that, $29? What's a $29 increase?
Quarter.
No, annual.
That was
Instead of
recorded-
115,
that was
we only go
recorded.
29.
No, it'd be 35.
I'm sorry,
It'd be $35 if you're talking about what the difference is.
whatever the difference was.
Yeah.
I thought you said 115 and 89. Was my
It's
80
about-
correct, or did you say 89?
No, 80.
80 was correct. Okay, so it's $35.
Yeah.
What's that $35
That's
equate to?
$217,000 roughly.
Percent-wise?
Percent of what, the total budget?
No, the year increase. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, same thing. What's the percent increase? It was 23%, so if you take that out, must be around
Oh,
10,
obviously,
8.
okay. Yeah, I can do that. That's-
Could be around 10%.
Yeah, it's
So-
roughly, just round numbers.
So we want to do the maintenance, but yet we want to throw out the maintenance. I'm kind of confused. Going on, I'm totally opposed to that. I will go along with the agreement on the money for staff. We at the last meeting agreed to put $100,000 in the budget, and I think this just may have been a nomenclature issue. We put it under the name of the broad name of a stormwater management person, I believe. That's what we got listed, we had to put it under something. My only question is in reality, is that going to happen?
I just wanted to
What are
make
we,
sure.
what are we looking for, I guess, on that person? And have we put feelers out, or are we ready to put feelers out for a stormwater management person?
I have been working on the job description and plan to advertise it tomorrow, and basically looking at somebody not only overseeing the pond bank work, but also the stormwater cleaning work, and also the conveyance work, and the ponds and the spraying.
So this person
themselves.
would not be duplicative of existing staff?
No,
He
the,
totally needs not a management of what has been brought up. It's not a management position.
and, I don't know if I'd term any of ours, I mean, we're managers, but everybody here is a working manager. There's nobody here that is, sitting at a desk all day. Everyone's out in the field, everybody is pumping out work, not supervising and telling other people what to do.
Yeah, but no one's sitting at a desk, not leaving their office.
Then-
So what we call manager, what Chris is saying is, this is a work manager.
Then the last one is, and I've talked to Stephen about this, is that we need a verification of what is the cash we have on hand. To what extent can we utilize that cash to offset some of these expenses? And I guess there's a difference between capital cash and operating cash.
Correct, I keep the capital cash completely separate. And then, I think the slide that I showed, last, first addressed this, was a total cash of about 1.3 in the general fund. Of that, I think 700,000 is what we've kind of stuck in an emergency
Capital,
reserve,
capital,
separate from capital.
separate from capital.
Separate from capital.
Okay, then I guess my question would be, is there a way that we can grant to ourselves a portion of that money to offset the increase, say to the tune of 250, 300,000?
Sure, if you want to use some of your cash reserves to offset the assessment increase, that's, obviously a board decision.
Well, I did some math on the sewer maintenance cleaning. We've got about $2 million worth, not counting what we talked about today, to clean up Gateway and get it into a position to go forward with routine operation and maintenance. If we did that on a 5-year bond, I think you'll find that the principal and interest on that at 4.5% for 5 years is about $450,000. So whether you spend it $500,000 cash or you do a bond issue just because of a 5-year period and the mechanics of our number, the advantage of doing it as a bond is you have all the money up front and you can do the cleanup quicker. That's about the only advantage. But we need to offset that with something in the way of a grant, and the only grant we have is our reserves. So I'd be willing to have a discussion to using a portion of the reserve to help offset it. But all the other expenses that are in the budget, as much as I don't particularly like them, this has been manifesting itself over a period of 20 years. And we're where we're at simply because of the fact previous boards done nothing. And the cans got kicked down the road as far as it could go, and we're having to bite the bullet. So I'm not embarrassed one bit by the budget we have. I don't like it, but it is what it is. I don't see any way to change it. That's all I have.
Mr. Bates?
Yeah, I think I would speak for everyone on the board that says if we didn't have to spend this amount of money, we would, right? I mean, I know Bill and Margaret who've been on the board, this isn't just a spending frenzy, for them, right? So, I mean, I think we do due diligence when we go through these budgets. When you look at the amount of items that have come up within the last 2 years, let's just say 18 months, when you listen to Kenny talk about pumps and corrosion and lack of maintenance and all these things, no one wants to spend that amount of money, but we have to. If we don't, we're going to continue to get flooding, quality of life is going to drop, and that's, I don't think that's acceptable for our residents. So we have to invest in maintenance, we have to invest in capital projects that put our community in a better position. 27% or whatever the increase is, it sounds very daunting, and it is. But at the end of the day, the $30 that our residents are going to spend quarterly for us to be able to get flowways clean, to make the improvements that we need, stormwater pipe. I mean, these are critical. And I think when we make decisions around spending money in these big projects, I think we understand the implication and the magnitude. But I will tell you, it's not like we're going from 27% this year back down to a flat zero next year. We haven't even talked about irrigation infrastructure, and there's probably the next 3 to 5 years where we're going to have double-digit increase in our assessments. I like Ed's idea of maybe looking to offset that, but we are doing things like rate study, so we can create more revenue, which will offset cost. So there are things that we are doing to try to offset the increases, right? So I just want to make a public statement that says, I am not in the business of spending money frivolously or increasing assessments. But I think we have to do what we have to do and hold ourselves accountable to get this community where it needs to be over the next 3 to 5 years.
And there had been previously a reluctance to raise assessments very much. And, like with the lake maintenance and the stormwater, that was to try and get any additional monies in the budget for years was, fighting an uphill battle. It just never would go anywhere. And Bill, you can attest to that there was a strong reluctance to hire more people, to, get more revenue so that we weren't always putting things together with Band-Aids, bubble gum, and duct tape. And we've reached the point where, those fixes are failing and things have to be fixed.
And I'll just say that Kathleen, her point about just basic maintenance items. Our staff is so busy, they don't have capacity or time to go put up a sign. So when we talk about headcount expansion and making sure we've got the right people doing the right jobs at the right time, this is why we've gone through this whole process of changing our infrastructure, bringing accountability and leadership in-house with our district managers. So I think we're moving in the right direction. But it's gonna take us a little bit of spending money. But what I would like to see, Chris, and we've had this conversation before, and as we move forward, make sure we're very clear on what our capital projects are, what our maintenance projects are, where the cost is going, what's the long-term impact. We spend X amount today, that impact over the next 3 to 5, 10 years is Y. With our staff being able to have the right people with the right volume, it will offset rework or additional spend through having to go outsource. And these are all things we have to do a better job of communicating so the residents know that we're spending efficiently and we're managing appropriately.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to add on to what you and Supervisor Banks just said. I think both of you said it quite well. I'd just like to add that by adopting a budget such as this, we are not authorizing the expenditure of $1. What we're doing is we're setting a level so that once the fiscal year starts and the projects are engineered or more complete in the minds of the managers and ourselves, we have the funds available to produce the work that is so desperately needed.
And, we're all residents too, and we all have to pay the assessments, and it, gives you a little bit of heartburn. I go home and, my husband isn't happy about the raising of the assessment either, and I have to explain it. And that's on a personal level with, my husband. But, we also know what happened last year with the hurricane on top of a big rainstorm on top of a big rainstorm. And we really need to be able to solve the issues so that we don't have to worry about that happening in future years. And that's part of what we're looking at with the stormwater cleaning and what we looked at today. But those things cost money. It isn't a simple, quick fix, and it isn't $0 fix. It takes money.
Madam Chairman, since you mentioned that, I can't let it pass to recall again the outstanding work that our staff did in our regard to keep us from having any more difficulties during the hurricane last September. They were here day and night, and we can't thank them enough.
You can't. It was Herculean. It was amazing. Any further comment? Okay. That leads us to 5F, which is approved budget. I guess that's what we were doing. This kind of seemed like it was in two places.
No, I don't know, that wasn't supposed to be
No,
put
it's
on.
not supposed to be approved.
I think it's because the budget got thrown in twice, she had made it an agenda item.
Ah, okay.
I think it was just showing that it was your approved budget from.
We're still on schedule.
Approved for purposes of the public hearing.
Yeah,
We already did
yeah,
that.
August 16th.
Cause I got budget in my book twice, so
I think it was.
All right. That brings us to supervisor comments, and I'll start down here.
Oh, okay. Chris, did you hear anything from the, Army of Engineers about the letter you sent?
No. We have not gotten the comment back, and there was 4 letters that came out of the community about that, so I imagine we'll be hearing something soon.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dodd?
Madam Chairman, I have nothing else. Thank you very much.
Mr. Banks?
I'm good.
We're gonna have head reporters on the agenda for the next meeting to make a
Yes.
decision.
Yep.
Say again, what was that, Ed?
The head recorders to start taking what Chris Hayden was talking about, to be able to monitor these 9 weirs that we have and start getting hydraulic information to do the hydraulic model.
Yeah. That's something else for some more money that'll be coming up.
That's what, we can't do anything without, nobody's gonna listen to us.
I only have one item, and that was today, I got a phone call from one of the fire chiefs from South Trails, and he's gonna forward some information to me that apparently they got a better rating, and apparently this area, or South Trails, or Gateway in particular, had been at what was called a number 3, and that affects our homeowners insurance.
Fire insurance rating.
Fire insurance rating, and they have been reduced to a number 2, and he's gonna provide all that information to me. I'm gonna forward it to Chris so he can
We need to get that,
broadcast it
get
out
that
to the
out
community.
to, get it to your residents, because you get to the insurance company and you start talking about big bucks.
I was
Especially
hoping-
commercial side, yeah, big savings on the residents.
Right.
Saving money.
I was hoping that I would have gotten the information that I could provide it to all of you at the meeting, but I didn't get the email from him yet, but I'm anticipating it in the next 24
I
hours.
think you call it ISO.
ISO.
Yeah, and Margaret, if I can add that too, the folks at South Trail have been talking to Kenny, and they're real complimentary to our staff about all the work that we've been doing on the hydrants lately.
Excellent.
So.
Yes, thank you, Kenny.
Everybody else has a story.
And with that, we're adjourned.
6:03 PM.
6:03 PM.